Hi, good morning. We're here with Gavin Newman from iVent. How are you doing, Gavin?
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much.
Good
Apart
stuff.
from that,
Yeah,
yeah, very good.
yeah.
Thanks very much.
There's a bit of stuff going around this time of year. Yeah, I'm really pleased that you could be with us this morning. So to kick things off, if you could let us know a little bit about who you are, what it is you do, and how long you've been
Sure.
doing it for, please.
Yeah, as Mike says, my name's Gavin Newman. I'm not a fan of titles, but apparently I'm CEO of iVent.
Okay.
And I started the business 14 years ago. I had a little business previously called iVent Management, and it was called iVent because I didn't know what to call it. And it was when the iPad came out, and I thought, well, everybody seems to be putting an I at the beginning of everything, I this and
Yeah.
iPad and iTouch or whatever it is. And it sort of came to me in a moment of in the middle of the night. And the business was actually team building, training, and development and events, which I you
Mhm.
see. And I had somebody who met on Facebook, an old friend, and he said, "Oh, iVent, you must be doing virtual events." And which I just had this blank expression. I
Yeah.
went, "I have no idea what a virtual event is." He said, "Come and see me." And I sort of went to see him. And I don't remember the 45-minute drive home going, "This is the future." So I incorporated iVent in 2010 for £50 in a bank account as an experiment. And hey presto, we started to sort of pioneer the virtual event market in the UK, built a platform and built up a pretty good reputation.
Sure.
And we did stuff all over the world, some very interesting hours from Australian universities to America through to Asia. We've flown all over the world to do stuff as well. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey. And of course, everything changed very much in the pandemic. But we're here,
Yeah.
and iVent has just launched its brand new platform called iVent Pro, which is great news. So we're looking forward to a busier 2024 now that the virtual event market has come back. I also speak about virtual events all over the UK, get asked to go and do some really nice speaking opportunities. And I'm a guest lecturer at British University on virtual events for their MA in creative event management, which I really, really enjoy. Obviously, I
Fantastic.
deliver online. So that's
So
me in a nutshell.
what makes you stand out then from other operators in your sector? We were talking earlier off camera about how the landscape of the sector's possibly changed a lot since
Yeah,
you've been in business, but what
it
makes you
really
guys
has.
different?
I think when you pioneer something, everything you do is fairly USP based.
Yeah.
And we are big fans of driving our platform and our business to client needs. And that's been really useful for us. And we actually built iVent Pro with an advisory panel of 7 current clients, which is the right way to do it. And things have changed. You pioneer something, everybody listens to you, and then you get other entrants come in. And pre-pandemic, there was sort of 25 full, fully loaded virtual event platforms. At the end of the pandemic, there were 813. So you
Well,
imagine that we went from doing 35, 40 inquiries a month. And
yeah,
this is not an embellishment on the story. We literally went to 1,500 inquiries, excuse me, a month,
yeah,
almost overnight. We went from 10 staff to 36 staff within 6 weeks. So we've then obviously sat amongst all these other platforms, and I think about 700 of them have now disappeared. I'm pleased to say we have survived. And what do we do? And I think that where we were and where we are now is building a platform which has essentially been built in uh, sort of co-built with this advisory panel. We come to a place where there's 2 things actually that people look at in this business. They look for initially it's like platform do? Is it whizzy? Does it got all these features? And
yeah,
you're very much sort of selling features. And I've always been against that. I've always said we are not technology salespeople. We are a professional event management company. And by the way, we deliver events online. So our conversations always start in the object. What are the objectives? What do you want to achieve? You've woken up after the first day after the event. What did you experience? That's how we've always done it. But the platform is obviously important too. So there's 2 things that people look for now. They look to us as probably some of the most experienced people in the world in terms of how do we go from a brief and converting that into a virtual event, because it's very different. There's a lots of similar words drawing from sort of the common event vernacular, but a lot of the stuff in virtual events is completely different. And so when it comes to the platform, we said we want something that's infinitely scalable, something that is really important, doesn't fall over, something that actually converts into over 80 different languages. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, not only translation, but also in relabeling the entire platform, not just for the user UI, but for the admin UI as well. And the ability to speak to any other piece of software on the planet. So those are the three tenets really that we started with, because every virtual event platform to scalability during the pandemic, they all fell over. They all, and I don't mind saying, admitting ours did too. So I think experience counts a lot of things. Most platforms do the same thing these days. What they look for is somebody goes, oh, it's the trust. It's the trust experience. They're going to give me, you know, a best in class service and solution, because they've done it for a long time. I think in the pandemic or post-pandemic, the reason why people go, I've got virtual fatigue, is because they were speaking to people who'd never done virtual events, and they were talking to live event professionals who assumed you could just shoehorn a live event format into virtual. So I think that's where we sit and do very well, is that experience.
Great stuff. So you mentioned 15 years there. You're talking about the pandemic and going from, what was it, 5 staff to 36, or
10 to 36, yeah.
10 to 36 there.
And now back down to 16.
and 50 quid in the bank account. If there's one word that you could describe that journey in business to date, what would it be?
Yeah, that's a sort of question you need a bit of time to think about it, really. It's the what one.
What's coming out at you from the
think,
heart?
well, I think stressful is the emotion that you feel a lot of the time, because whenever the pressure that you get from clients that stuff doesn't fall over and that it's right, because you're at the mercy of technology. It's not like at a live event where, you know, the vol-au-vents have been overcooked or something like that. This is like the whole event goes down, end of it, and you've lost all reputation. The stress has been quite remarkable, but I'd also say rewarding. If I look back, when the stress is gone, I think rewarding is everything, because to pioneer something and is such a unique experience, because you're sort of rules up as you go, which has been quite fun. So, you know, if I wrote a book about it, it would be, you know, it was a massively rewarding part of the experience. So yeah,
with the lows come the highs and lows. That's it. It's
yeah, you got to look. If you don't have texture, it's just a straight line, and nobody really enjoys that. I think texture in life is great. You know, we've had massive highs with client wins and big successes, and that means more than the money really. Is you get a client testimonials, and on our website we have something called the Wall of Love, and it's a big wall of love. So it's been, that's the rewarding part of it. Yeah.
So what does the future look like, and what do you see the main challenges are for the future, or areas that
I think that's such an interesting question, and it's actually it's sort of it's really distilling actually into what the market wants. Is sure, there's lots of people that still want that single virtual event, but I came up with something many years ago, and it's taken many years before people have gone, no, actually, yeah, I think that's right. I always thought 15 years ago, in live events, once a year, you'd have this big thing that everybody would be invited to. All the industry would go. You'd meet, and it would be great fun. You go to London, you might stay overnight, have a few drinks, network with some people. You got 100 business cards. You go back home, and you feel energized. After about 2 weeks, that energy's disappeared. And the next time you see those 100 business cards you collected is when you fall over at the Christmas party drunk, and you see them under your desk, gathering cobwebs, and you've done nothing about it. And I thought, surely digital events have an opportunity here to connect the year. So after you've got the live event, why not capture some stuff that happens, maybe deliver it to the people that couldn't come? And so we came up with Echo event, which we sell a lot of. Why not amplify that live event with something we created called Bookend? So digital, build the excitement, deliver the live event, and then the long tail of content and the engagement after. And then we were thinking, well, actually, you know, you could actually run a little digital event maybe once a quarter, just to keep the community engaged. Wasn't it great, that event we went to? What are we looking forward to? Where's the industry going? What are the new products and services in this industry? And then I thought, with that database of people, the sponsors surely have got access to an absolute gold mine here, where they might want to launch a new product 6 months after the live event in the digital format. And all of a sudden, you then got massive value adds by having a digital solution that connects the live event. It took years, and finally people are going, that is such a good idea. Universities were the first people to pick up on the 365. So we started working with universities 12, 13 years ago. And essentially, it's a bit like, well, we need to engage with our students all year. So straight away, it was sort of looking at the idea that I had. So we want application days, and then we want so open days, and then application days, and specific faculty events, and then offer holder events, and then onboarding, and then clearing. And so universities got it straight away.
Wow.
But the digital hub is finally here, where people are going. I liken it to, it's a bit like Netflix with the live events. So you've got all this content that sits there. You can curate it in real time, but actually you can intersperse that the whole year with live. Let's get rid of this call. Sorry. We can actually intersperse it with live events, whether it's a little 20-person webinar or a 2,000-person event. They've got it, and that's how the iVent Pro platform has been built. That it's like a digital. We call it a digital venue. So it's not just about events; it's about community. It's about engagement. It's about content. But by the way, we also have these great sort of networking events and live events. And finally, it's there, and it's we're putting all of our effort into that.
Fantastic. That's it sounds exciting, and one of those things that you think, oh yeah, why is it not being
yeah
done?
Well, because a lot of people say, why is no one else doing that? I said, well, it's a bit like the iPad, because I remember sitting in the back of a classroom in Portsmouth University trying to sell virtual events to them, and this woman at the back, she was in marketing, she went, what problem is this solving? And I tried to explain. She goes, I said, it's not always about solving a problem. I said, the iPad was never invented to solve a problem. What it did was it created a whole new layer in people's business lives, in their personal. And I said, that's in some ways virtual events is a bit like, it's just another layer that comes in, and people then go, actually, we know how to make use of this. Of course, it does solve a problem as well, but it's a bit like, why do we need this? And that's now become obvious. Virtual events are here to stay, without a doubt. They just need to be done better. And I think that's the big thing that people go, I've had enough of Zoom. Yeah, Zoom's not a virtual event. Zoom is a collaboration platform, or delivering a webinar. A virtual event is so much more than that.
I can see the number of things there coming out, listening to you, taking years to develop. So the resilience, the ideas, the passion, the excitement. And that's why I love doing these interviews and chatting to people such as yourself. What's the biggest lesson you've learned to date, if there's one you could pick? There's usually one or two start coming out, but interested to know.
Yeah, I think there's you can't really. It's a bit like the one word question earlier. I don't think there's ever just one thing. I think what I've learned, certainly, the development side of the business it's the communication. The developers, with great respect to them, very clever. They are a unique breed. They need to be handled in a very different way. And I've learned a lot about working with development teams to produce something, and actually having that real clarity about what they're doing and translating that. That's been a massive learning curve. So I've become from sort of really technically inept to fairly technically adept over the years. And actually, you've got to understand what the technology been really interesting as well. I think that the pace of innovation 15 years ago, it was sort of this speed. Innovation now is like that. If you think about the advent of AI and things like that. So keeping your finger on the pulse. I have a lot of people, an awful lot younger than me, who I employ to keep their finger on the modern pulse of technology. And that's really important as well. So I've learned that in spades over the years as well. And actually, just always thinking about how do you make it as easy as possible for people to be able to engage in these events. It's awful when people arrive, and I've had a lot of people say, oh, I arrived in this platform. It took me 2 days to work out how to use it before I went in. People want to come in and they want to go, they want to have a 60-second learning curve and they know what they're doing. And we've, that whole, again, I guess that sort of technology side as well. How we're talking about virtual events and how we're marketing virtual events, you have to change your language a lot, and we've learned that over the years. I mean, there's a number of things that sort of takeaways for me over the period of 15 years, and it changes. It changes a lot. And I think post-pandemic has probably been the biggest change of all, is to talk about solution-based experiences,
Sure.
rather than, oh, here's a virtual event, you need one because of this. So yeah, it's probably those things.
And kind of overriding, I suppose, automatic desire to improve things, learn, and just keep at a pace that keeps the business going.
Yeah. I think that, innovation for the sake of innovation is probably one of the big mistakes a lot of platforms made. There's some great marketing gurus on LinkedIn. There's a great guy called Julius Solaris, who everybody should follow if you're in events, and he's absolutely brilliant. And he's always posting really, really good. He sort of brings lots of things together and makes great sense of it for people in the event industry. And it's forever saying, oh, I just fed up. There's the lack of innovation in virtual events platforms. So I wrote, okay, list now, everybody on here is 150 people following. What innovation do you want to see? Nobody responded. I said, why is that? Well, we can't think of anything. So they're asking for innovation, but they don't know what they want. And I think what's happened is that platforms are very much, what do we do for the user? We've not created a feature for 6 months. Let's create something. Let's make it brush your teeth or something. So they were creating features for no particular reason.
Yeah.
And when we sat down and started to do iVent Pro 2.5 years ago, I spoke to the 7 people on the advisory panel. I said, you know us well, to be as rude as you like, be as blunt as you like. What do you love? What do you hate? And they went, every single one said, get rid of 75% of the crap in the platform. Just get rid of all platforms need to do. Simple user. And I thought, actually, what we need to do is, it's not about innovating for the user, it's innovating for the people that spend the money with us. How do we make it better for them? So it's things like, oh, let's put a project management layer in the back of us. So straight away, you're able to reduce the tech stack that the clients have to be able to produce it. Let's put a speaker area in there. Let's put this AI agenda building, and let's put all of those tools, not using AI for the sake of it. So in fact, the back end of the platform is where we're innovating the most and actually producing the most value for our clients by producing features that make sense to them, that makes their lives better. It's not about of course, it's about the user, but a user wants to register easily, log in easily, meet someone, watch some content, grab some content, and go. And that is all they want to do. There's nothing beyond that.
Awesome.
Excuse me.
So what inspires you to do what you do then, Gavin? Again, listen to the passion and the energy that you've got there. What's your inspiration out of all?
Well, I think initially, I'm 58 this year. Just trying to remember how old I was. So, and I started my first business when I was 16. Believe it or not, I actually started out like one of my things was children's book illustrator, mainly for magazines and things like that. So I'm an illustrator by trade, but in fact my career is actually virtual events. I started my first business. I've always wanted to do stuff for myself. I find it difficult to work for people. I find it quite restrictive. So I've done a number of things. I've owned some very famous nightclubs down in London, restaurants, stuff like that. And that's how I got into events. I've always loved events. I always felt quite passionate about that. So when the opportunity came around, it sort of met both of those head on. It was events also completely new, and we didn't have any money at all. So we used to fund the business out of cash flow. So my business partner was a clever designer. So we used to put together a complete smoke and mirrors demo that didn't really work, but on a screen share, it looked great. Get the deposit, use that to pay the developer, and then deliver something. So for the first year, we didn't have a platform. We just created these things. The first event we ran, the developer was a young lad in Brighton, and I had to phone him up to wake him up to get him out of bed to switch his computer on, because his computer was a server. That's before we even used Amazon Web Services. So my passion is always, I love doing stuff that's sort of quite innovative, market leading. And I think actually, when you realize you can create a business about it and make yourselves a living out of it as well, That's all I've ever really wanted, is to work and do stuff for myself.
Excitement is coming across.
The fear of going back and being employed, I think, is what
Yeah,
keeps it.
yeah. Well, many entrepreneurs are, it's just within them, isn't it? That kind of desire to seek one's own destiny as opposed to trudging along, being told what to do by somebody else. So
yeah, true.
awesome. So lastly, then, if there's any latest news you wish to share with us, I mean, we've covered a fair bit anyway, or even it's just a case of heading to your website and sharing the address, feel free to do that.
Yeah, I mean, our address, which is just undergoing some big changes over the next couple of months, because we're actually closing down our legacy platform next week, which I feel in two minds about that. It's like, thank God that's gone, because it was an old bird, and it was getting a bit creaky at the side. The new iVent Pro platform, we can create an event in 15 minutes in iVent Pro. It used to take half a day in legacy. So that's a big thing. So our website address is ivent-.com. You can get some good information on there. And I think that for us, this future, the announcements, anything that we're doing here, we have an incredibly new and innovative way of selling our platform, which we'll do a press release for probably at the very beginning of March. It's still an NDA lockdown, big secret, but we've just got a big round of Series A funding. So that's great news for us, which comes in February. And that's going to help us go to that next level. So we're still doing the traditional virtual events, the 365 hours, but we've created a new way of selling this platform that actually, when you tell people who want it like that, I did one to the massive American car outfit yesterday, and they sat there and I went, oh my God, somebody's actually thought about this. How did you come up with that idea? And they were like, yes, please. So it's really exciting for us. It's not something I could talk about on here, but I'm really happy if you want. I'll tell you about it on email in a few weeks' time, and then we could
sure.
So that's massive for us, and we're going to be growing the team this year, new developers, etc. So we're excited about that. I think it's good just to be back in the saddle of people wanting virtual events again, and 3 years off retirement, hopefully, so make a bit of money.
Yeah, you got a plan.
and then get out and enjoy my family, etc.
Excellent. Thanks, Gavin. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, and definitely wish you all the success for the future of the business and that 3-year retirement plan.
Thank you very much, Mike. Great.